The sky burned an angry crimson as massive alien ships blocked out the sunlight over Seoul. Jay Park watched from an underground research facility, his weathered hands gripping a digital tablet that flickered with desperate communication logs. The Zortok Collective had been systematic in their invasion, sweeping across continents like a merciless wave of destruction. Humanity's military had fallen within weeks. Advanced alien technology crushed conventional weapons in minutes. Entire cities became graveyards of twisted metal and broken dreams. Millions died in the first 48 hours, their screams lost in the thunderous roar of energy weapons that could vaporize entire city blocks. Jay remembered the final emergency broadcast. Military commanders speaking with broken voices, warning that conventional resistance was futile. The aliens weren't interested in negotiation or territory. They wanted complete extinction. Beneath the research facility, something waited. A project so secret that only 3 people in the entire world knew its true purpose. The Phoenix Protocol wasn't just a backup plan, it was humanity's final option. The facility's massive steel doors, reinforced with experimental quantum-resistant alloys, hummed with a quiet energy. Rows of specialized chambers lined the walls, each containing a human modified beyond normal biological limitations. These weren't soldiers in the traditional sense. They were humanity's last hope. Outside, Seoul burned. Alien ground troops moved systematically, destroying infrastructure and eliminating any remaining human resistance. Their metallic exoskeletons gleamed under the smoky sky, walking tanks that could crush a human vehicle without slowing down. Jay's assistant Hana Kim monitored the complex monitoring systems. Her fingers danced across holographic displays tracking the alien movement patterns. They had studied the Zortok for years, understanding their tactics, their technological weaknesses. "Activation sequence is at 62%, she whispered, her voice steady despite the chaos above. The Phoenix Protocol was more than a military project. It was a genetic enhancement program that reimagined human potential. Decades of secret research, hidden funding, and calculated genetic modifications were about to be tested. Each chamber contained a human who had been quietly prepared for this moment. Cybernetic neural networks integrated with enhanced biological systems. Muscles reinforced beyond natural human limitations. Cognitive abilities pushed to unprecedented levels. Jay watched the alien ships continue their systematic destruction. They believed humanity was finished. They thought they had won. They were wrong. The first chamber began to pulse with a soft blue light. A human figure inside started to move, muscles flexing with impossible precision. Enhanced optical systems activated, scanning the environment with capabilities far beyond normal human perception. "Primary subject is stabilizing," Hana reported, her voice remaining clinical and controlled. Outside, the aliens continued their march. They didn't know that beneath the burning cities, something was awakening. Something they could never have anticipated. Humanity's final option was about to be unleashed. Jay Park allowed himself a small smile. The Zortok believed they understood warfare. They believed they knew how to crush a civilization. But they had never encountered human determination. They had never met the subjects of the Phoenix Protocol. The first chamber's door began to slide open with a soft pneumatic hiss. Enhanced muscles moved with liquid grace. Enhanced eyes opened, reflecting a determination that no alien technology could ever suppress. Humanity was about to fight back, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The research facility hummed with potential energy. Rows of chambers waited, each containing a human transformed beyond recognition. The first subject was just the beginning. Outside, Seoul continued to burn. But underground, something else was brewing. A response, a resistance, a revolution. The Zortok thought they had won. They were wrong. Very wrong. The first enhanced human moved with a grace that defied human limitations. Wu Choi stepped out of his chamber, muscles rippling with an impossible strength. His eyes, now augmented with advanced optical systems, scanned the underground facility with crystal-clear precision. Alarms began to pulse silently. 12 more Chambers started to activate, their occupants stirring from a deep genetic hibernation. The Phoenix Protocol was moving from a theoretical concept to a living, breathing reality. Hana Kim watched the monitors, her fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. Each subject was different, carefully selected and modified for specific capabilities. Some were pure combat models, others were technological specialists, and a few were designed for strategic planning. Wu approached a communication console. His enhanced neural network began to interface with the facility's systems. Within seconds, he had bypassed multiple security layers that would have taken normal humans weeks to crack. "First stage complete," he spoke, his voice calm and measured. The Zortok believed they had crushed human resistance. Their massive ships continued to hover over major cities, periodically releasing destruction waves that turned urban landscapes into smoking ruins. They didn't know that beneath the destruction, humanity was preparing its most unexpected weapon. Uniquan was the next to activate. Her specialty was communication and technological infiltration. As she stepped from her chamber, her body seemed to shimmer slightly, a result of advanced adaptive camouflage technology integrated directly into her skin cells. "Network access established," she reported, her fingers already dancing across multiple holographic displays. In less than 3 minutes, she had tapped into the Zortok's communication networks. Their supposedly unbreakable encryption systems began to crumble under her advanced cognitive processing. Dae Kim, the tactical coordinator, was analyzing invasion patterns. His enhanced brain could process complex strategic scenarios faster than entire military supercomputers. Where normal humans saw chaos, he saw intricate patterns and potential weakness points. "Their primary command structure is vulnerable," Dae announced. "They operate on a collective decision-making process. If we can introduce strategic confusion, we can create systemic breakdowns." The enhanced humans moved with a synchronized precision. Each had been prepared for this moment their entire lives. Genetic modifications, neural network enhancements, and specialized training had transformed them from ordinary humans into something entirely new. Outside, the world remained in chaos. Alien ships continued their systematic destruction. They believed humanity was defeated. They believed resistance was impossible. They were wrong. Wu began preparing the first infiltration plan. Their goal wasn't just survival, it was total strategic reversal. The Zortak would learn that humanity was far more dangerous than they could ever imagine. Yuna's communication breakthrough revealed something interesting. The Zortak weren't a unified force but a complex collective with internal tensions. Their supposedly perfect system had hidden weaknesses. "They have never encountered an adaptive intelligence like ours," Dae observed, studying the communication patterns. The enhanced humans weren't just soldiers, they were a complete evolutionary response. Cognitive abilities enhanced beyond normal human limitations, physical capabilities that pushed the boundaries of biological potential, strategic thinking that could adapt faster than any known technological system. J. Park watched from a monitoring station, a sense of cautious hope filling him. The Phoenix Protocol was more than a military project. It was humanity's ultimate survival mechanism. The first wave of resistance was about to begin. The Zortak thought they had won. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Wu looked at his team. Enhanced humans. Humanity's last and most unexpected weapon. "Prepare for first contact," he said simply. The underground facility hummed with potential energy. Outside, the world burned. But here, something extraordinary was awakening. Humanity was fighting back. The first strike came without warning. Min Park's team materialized near a Zortak command center like ghosts, their adaptive camouflage making them invisible until the moment of attack. Alien communication systems suddenly went dark. Entire networks collapsed within minutes. The Zortak watched in confusion as their perfect invasion machinery began to crumble from within. Jian Li had been working her technological magic. Every alien system they touched became a weapon against its creators. Weapon platforms were turned, communication channels were hijacked, and strategic databases were corrupted with surgical precision. The enhanced humans moved like liquid shadows. Where traditional military forces would have engaged in direct confrontation, they chose something far more dangerous: complete systemic disruption. Xiao Khan understood psychological warfare better than anyone. The Zortok Collective operated on a unified mental network, believing in their absolute technological superiority. His strategy was simple: introduce doubt, create confusion, break their collective confidence. Alien patrol units started experiencing impossible scenarios. Communication systems would suddenly broadcast human music. Strategic maps would randomly change. Navigation systems would provide completely incorrect coordinates. The Zortok began to question their own technology. Min's combat team struck critical infrastructure. They weren't trying to destroy, they were trying to destabilize. A communication relay here, a power generator there. Small strikes that created massive ripple effects. Their enhanced bodies could survive environments that would kill normal humans. Extreme temperatures, toxic atmospheres, radiation zones, nothing stopped them. They moved through alien territories like living weapons. Yuna continued her communication infiltration. She discovered something critical. The Zortok weren't a single unified species, but a collective of different technological races. They had internal tensions, hidden conflicts. Their strength is also their weakness, Day explained during a strategic meeting. A collective system means one failure can create massive systemic collapse. The enhanced humans had been preparing for this moment their entire lives. Genetic modifications, neural network enhancements, and specialized training had transformed them from ordinary humans into something extraordinary. Alien commanders started receiving conflicting orders. Strategic points were suddenly abandoned. Communication channels became unreliable. The perfect invasion machinery began to develop unexpected glitches. Min's team hit a major alien supply depot. Instead of destroying it, they reprogrammed its internal systems. Supplies were redirected. Weapon platforms were subtly modified. The Zortok would discover these changes at the worst possible moment. Sayok understood psychological warfare. Every action was designed to create maximum confusion. They weren't just fighting, they were undermining the alien collective's fundamental belief system. The enhanced humans moved across continents. One moment they would be in Asia, the next in Europe, then suddenly appearing in South America. Their global mobility and adaptive capabilities made them impossible to track. Alien ground troops started experiencing unexplainable equipment failures. Weapon systems would suddenly malfunction. Communication networks would go silent. Navigation became unreliable. The Zortok had expected a straightforward invasion. Humanity was supposed to be a simple technological inferior species. They had cataloged human capabilities. They had strategic models predicting human resistance. None of those models had predicted the Phoenix Protocol. Ji-Yun continued her technological warfare. Every alien system became a potential weapon. Communication networks were transformed into psychological warfare platforms. Weapon systems were subtly reprogrammed. The insurgency was unlike anything the Zortok had ever encountered. These weren't traditional soldiers. They were living technological weapons with human creativity and unpredictability. Min looked at his team. Enhanced humans, humanity's most unexpected weapon. The tactical insurgency had begun. The alien ships began to fall from the sky like wounded birds. Yoon Kim watched the first massive vessel crash into the Pacific Ocean, its advanced technology suddenly rendered useless by human intervention. Hyun Choi's reverse engineering team had been working tirelessly. Every piece of alien technology they captured became a new weapon. What took the Zortok years to develop, humans were now replicating in weeks. The turning point came unexpectedly. A single enhanced human team infiltrated a primary Zortok command ship. What should have been a suicide mission became a complete systems takeover. Alien communication networks started broadcasting human messages. Strategic maps showed critical vulnerabilities. The Zortok collective began to experience something they had never encountered before: systematic doubt. Sue Park coordinated global resistance movements. Enhanced humans weren't just fighting, they were liberating. Cities that were once destroyed began to rebuild. Captured alien technologies were rapidly adapted for human use. The Zortok had believed humanity was a single unified target. They were wrong. Every continent, every culture, every surviving human group became a potential resistance point. Yun's team discovered something remarkable. Alien technology, for all its advanced appearance, had fundamental weaknesses. Their collective system meant that individual innovation was suppressed. Humans, with their chaotic creativity, could adapt faster than any collective system. Entire alien battle groups found themselves fighting against technologies they couldn't predict. Human soldiers equipped with reverse-engineered weapons could now match alien firepower. Adaptive strategies replaced traditional military doctrines. Yuan specialized in rapid adaptation. Where alien systems saw a problem, she saw an opportunity. Communication networks became battlegrounds. Technological platforms were transformed into weapons of psychological warfare. The first liberated human colonies began to emerge. They weren't just surviving, they were thriving. Captured alien technologies were being integrated into human infrastructure. What was once a weapon became a tool for reconstruction. Sue understood that this was more than a war. This was a complete technological revolution. Humans were learning, adapting, transforming faster than the Zortok could comprehend. Alien commanders began to experience something they had never known: fear. The Zortok Collective had spent generations conquering species. They had perfect mathematical models predicting resistance patterns. They had advanced technologies that could destroy entire planetary systems. They had never met humans. Hyun's team began developing hybrid technologies. Alien communication systems merged with human creative thinking. Weapon platforms became adaptive networks that could think and respond faster than traditional programming. The resistance spread like a virus. Every captured alien technology became a new opportunity. Humans weren't just fighting. They were learning, growing, evolving at an impossible speed. Yoon's adaptive strategies meant that what worked against humans today would fail tomorrow. The Zortok found themselves fighting an enemy that could change faster than they could analyze. Sue coordinated global liberation efforts. Enhanced humans moved across continents, turning defeated territories into launching points for further resistance. What was once a planetary invasion became a human counteroffensive. Alien ships that once dominated the sky now fell like burning meteors. Communication networks collapsed. Strategic systems began to fail. The Zortok had believed humanity was weak. They were wrong. Very wrong. Hyun looked at the captured alien technologies. Each piece was a puzzle, each system a potential breakthrough. Humans were transforming alien weapons into tools of liberation. The tide was turning. Humanity was no longer fighting for survival. They were fighting to win. Jin Lee stood on the bridge of the first human interstellar vessel, watching as liberated alien species joined their fleet. What started as a desperate planetary defense had transformed into a galactic liberation movement. Rhea Park managed diplomatic communications. Each liberated species brought unique technologies, strategies, and perspectives. The human approach of collaborative innovation began reshaping galactic politics. The Zortok Collective was fracturing. Their perfect technological system had been systematically dismantled by human creativity. Entire command structures collapsed as their fundamental belief of technological superiority crumbled. Kang Han led the liberation fleets. Enhanced human technologies now outperformed alien systems. Ships that could adapt in milliseconds. Communication networks that could predict and counter strategic movements before they happened. Liberated species shared their stories. Centuries of alien oppression were ending. Humans weren't conquering, they were enabling freedom. Their approach was fundamentally different from the Zortok's systematic destruction. Advanced human technologies began spreading across liberated territories. Adaptive medical systems, renewable energy platforms, communication networks that connected entire planetary systems. The Phoenix Protocol had become more than a survival mechanism. It was a galactic transformation tool. Alien species that had been conquered for generations began to rebuild. Human technological assistance meant they could develop faster than ever before. Collaborative innovation replaced forced submission. Kang's fleet moved systematically. They weren't destroying alien infrastructures, they were rehabilitating them. Captured technologies were adapted, shared, transformed into tools of reconstruction. Jin discovered something remarkable. The human approach of collaborative problem-solving was fundamentally different from the Zortak's hierarchical control systems. Creativity was now a weapon more powerful than any energy cannon. Diplomatic missions became transformation platforms. Each negotiation was an opportunity to introduce new technological and social concepts. Liberated species weren't just gaining freedom, they were reimagining their potential. The Zortak leadership watched in horror. Their perfect collective was breaking apart. Species they had controlled for generations were now developing unprecedented technological capabilities. Ria's diplomatic teams moved between star systems. They weren't conquering, they were connecting. Each liberated territory became a potential ally, a potential innovation center. Enhanced humans had become more than soldiers. They were architects of a new galactic order. Technological platforms, developed during the Resistance, became tools of peaceful development. Medical systems that could heal entire planetary populations. Communication networks that could connect diverse species. Kang understood that this was more than a military victory. This was a fundamental reimagining of galactic potential. The first, interspecies collaborative councils began forming. Humans didn't demand leadership, they facilitated cooperation. Their experience of surviving against impossible odds made them unique diplomatic facilitators. Alien species that had been isolated for generations now found themselves part of a collaborative network. Technologies were shared. Cultural exchanges happened. The rigid hierarchical systems were transforming. Jin watched the first collaborative star maps being created. Territories that were once battlegrounds were now becoming centers of joint technological development. The Zortak Collective was becoming a memory. Their systems of control were being systematically dismantled, replaced by collaborative networks. Humanity had entered the galactic stage not as conquerors, but as enablers of potential. Kang looked at the evolving star maps. What had started as a desperate planetary defense had transformed into a galactic transformation movement. The humans had done more than survive. They had reimagined possibility.